Welcome to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. I'm Dax Holt.
I am Alicia Renee.
All right, we are going to get into it right now. Blind items are lighting up the internet. They're lighting up podcasts. And so we are going to bring in Kelly and Troy from Beyond the Blinds. It is a podcast doing all kinds of blind topics on celebrities, the stuff that they're doing behind cameras, in the streets, all of it.
In the streets and in the sheets.
Kelly, Troy, welcome to Podsauce.
Thank
Hello.
you for having us.
Hi,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here.
I mean, I love a good secret squirrel moment, so here for it. Let's just get right. Well, one, give us the elevator pitch of Beyond the Blinds for those who may not be familiar, for those under a rock who are not familiar with Beyond the Blinds.
Go ahead, Troy. You got this.
Okay. Elevator pitch. Okay. So basically every week, Kelly and I take blind items and we'll take one specific celebrity or public figure. And we start as far back as we can go, usually around like the early 2000s or the late 90s when blind items kind of started. And we will find as many interesting blind items about the person as we can, and we'll go in order from like the past to the present and just kind of compare like their public persona to their blind item persona and just how different they are.
And for someone who doesn't know what a blind item is, because there's a lot of people that don't know what a
That's
blind
fair.
item is, a story, a tip, a fact about a person, even an alleged fact about a person that you say without using their name. Correct?
Right.
Okay. Just put it out there, because there's people that don't know what
You
a
have to put that
blind
little
is.
caveat in there. It's so funny. I listened to a couple of your episodes. First of all, Channing Tatum is going to win an Oscar, and you guys are going to be so mad when that day when that day happens. Wink. That's
From your mouth to God's ear or whatever.
Let me tell you, Troy's disdain for his acting is very apparent
Listen,
in Beyond the Blinds.
like, it's absurd. That's all I'm gonna say.
I also, yes, God bless him, but yes. I also listened to your Nina Dobrev episode because I was a Vampire Diaries fan. And I was very curious just to hear what word on the curb was concerning her. Question for you guys. Because a lot of the material, if I'm understanding her age correctly at that time, a lot of the things that were reported about her allegedly, you know, her blind items, typically she was like, it's like college aged, right? So the challenge is when celebrities experience life, things that we got the freedom to do. I'm not sure of the age of you two, and I'm not asking, you know, I'm just putting it out there for context. The things that we were able to do, Dax and I more specifically, when we were in college and social media wasn't a big thing and people weren't walking around here like capturing that. It's like, how much grace do you guys give these celebrities for the things that they've experienced during typical college years, where we got the freedom to do that without being the public microscope? And then how much are you like, no, they're just a janky person and this is what happened and it is what it is?
I think we try and give people grace as much as we can, especially if they're like a child star or something like that. That's a whole another layer of crazy.
For sure.
But then there are just some people, like maybe someone like a Jared Leto or someone like that who we don't want to give that grace to. We want to hold their feet to the fire, stuff like that. So I will say, when it comes to like the younger celebrities, we at least maybe not all of them, but we try to give them, you know, a little bit of space. I don't know. Would you agree, Troy?
I think that that's a fair assessment. I feel like Kelly and I both have a real soft spot in our hearts for child stars because we grew up. I'm 34, so I grew up like in the early 2000s. Like we both love like the NSYNC, Britney, Christina era of pop culture, and I think you can chalk so much up to that, of them being Disney stars, and you know, that led to a lot of destruction in their lives. So I think that we try to be, at least.
Okay, so we're all in the same age. Because sometimes I'm listening to it and I'm like, well, to be fair, you know, they did these things and they experienced these things around college years, and that's your time to be explorative as far as sexuality, you know, enhancements, as far as drugs and whatever. Not that I did any of these things, obvi.
Or all of them.
Or all of them. You know, so it's like, you know, it's like you kind of want to give them the grace to like live, you know, and experience things even though they're in the public eye.
I'm curious, what was the easiest episode for you guys to make because there was so many blind items about a certain celebrity that it was like, oh my God, we're going to actually have to cut some out because there's so much.
Yeah, I would say Beyonce.
Yeah, we just did that.
Really?
We just had that issue.
Yeah, there were like probably over 80 pages of blind items that we pulled.
Yeah.
And not all blind items
absurd.
are bad, right? Like, let's be honest, not all blind items are necessarily a negative thing. It's just stuff that's out there about the person.
Oh, wait, we can't pass over that. So were these 80 pages good or were they bad? Like, knock it off, Dax. Were they good or were they bad? What's happening? Is Queen Bee out here buzzing in these streets? Stinging people? Or is she just buzzing?
I feel like they I feel like they were in between. Like, she just had, to be completely honest with you, Kelly, I feel like I can speak for you in this sense. It was an abundance of like kind of stupid ones. It was an overabundance of like Beyonce allegedly like wears wigs. It was like, girl, like,
We know she
you know what I
wears
mean?
wigs, though. What are they talking
Exactly.
about? Oh.
Some of them were really, really stupid.
Reaching.
So that also happens where we're like, nobody's gonna care about this, that Beyonce allegedly wore a wig in 2004.
Wait, I don't think you have to say allegedly in that one, by the way.
we all know.
Let's be clear.
Well, and she's also been very open about it, you know, because I mean, but you also have to protect your scalp, otherwise you walk around here with no edges.
Exactly.
We want our edges. I've been
true.
open on this show whenever I have a wig. I mean, this is all me today, honey, but you know, I've been to swing that around. But I've been very open myself. What due diligence do you guys do as far as, and do you do any? Because it's very fair to ask. Do you do any own investigation? Do you do your own investigative reporting yourselves, or do you just take the blind items for what they are and just report the tea?
We definitely do research, and Troy and I try and make it a point to be like, not every blind item's true. And I know during episodes, after we read in blind item, I'll be like, this wasn't even real. Like, I don't believe this one. So we do put it out there if we don't believe one, or if we do have like a random Us Weekly article from 2007 that backs up the blind item, we'll talk about that.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things that makes your podcast different about, in regards to blind items, because there's a lot of podcasts that will just say a blind item, then move on. Yours is different because you're revealing essentially who the celebrity is because this blind item is in the past. And I think that's kind of one thing to put out there, is that you're kind of, you're getting the reveal at the same time, and not everyone does that. What has been maybe your favorite episode to cover? Because I can tell you my favorite episode that I've listened to from you guys, which was the Scientology episode, which I loved. It was so good.
I have to check it out.
I mean, publicly I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I loved it. There was just so much that I've questioned about, obviously, Scientology and the members there, and you guys were talking all about it. It was great. But sorry to digress. What is your guys' favorite episode?
I don't know. Troy did a great episode on our Patreon about Eric Podwall. And
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly. I had no idea who he was.
Not
either.
exactly.
But he's a Hollywood agent, right, Troy? Like manager?
Yeah, he's like a manager, agent, and people on the internet call his group of talent the Podwall Circle. It's like Camp Podwall. And it's an interesting group of people. That was a good one. I like that one. And I have a soft spot for just like a classically messy, fun girl. So I'm a real Bella Thorne girl. Like, I really love a messy Bella Thorne moment. Like, somebody who's just like, I'm messy and I don't care. And I want everybody to know how to say.
Wait, Troy, because you kindly breezed over the Paldwell Palladium, the harem. Give us the tea. Like, what makes this group of people, like, blind item worthy? What's going on, basically?
So the blind item sort of story about Camp Podwall is that he's a manager, and all of his talent, it's like all of these like very sort of like hunky, like Glee, Vampire Diaries kind of guys.
Who are some of his talent?
People like Darren Criss, people like
Chase
basically
Crawford.
Chase Crawford, basically the whole cast of Glee, pretty much. And like a lot of Teen Wolf people. And yeah, it's alleged that he just kind of like has this big group of actors that are like kind of forced to be closeted. And that's the rumor. And it like has led to a lot of just years and years and years of like really dark stories, crazy tall tales, like all kinds of, whether you believe it or not. It's just a really interesting rabbit hole, I guess.
And after that episode, Colton Hayes, who was a part of Camp Podwall, allegedly did a really big open essay, I think for Variety magazine. And he talked about a manager who really put him through the ringer. And it's a hard read, but after I read that, I was like, oh, so that episode to me was like very true.
When they say put him through the ringer, like as far as made him closet his sexuality and maneuver with women that he had no interest in?
Yeah, so they were talking about how he had to learn how to speak with a Post-it in between his teeth so he wouldn't have a lisp and like sound gay.
Who does that?
It's really intense. I definitely recommend reading the article.
Oh my gosh,
it was
horrific.
It was a hard one to get through.
Yeah.
But Kelly and I are both very like, I think the way that we gauge our episodes is where there's smoke, there's fire. Like we really use that phrase a lot.
That's
and
fair.
If we read 20 years of a story, like we did a Will and Jada episode early in the podcast, and it was like literally over 20 years of these like cheating blinds and like open relationship blinds, which are really not a big deal now, but like in the early 2000s and
It
the 90s,
was a big deal,
crazy.
especially at the height of his career. Yes.
Right, and it's like at a certain point you just kind of have to, if you've read something 100 times, it's like
It's there.
there's something there, right?
So
Yeah.
what I'm curious is, you guys have a massive social following, a lot on Twitter, a lot on these other platforms. Have you noticed celebrities starting to follow you guys to kind of keep tabs on what you guys are reporting on?
I like the way Kelly turns 8
She goes,
shades of red.
Um,
Spill it,
I
Kelly.
have zero poker face, if you can't tell.
Never play poker.
We have got a few DMs, and a few members of different bands have followed us, but Troy and I keep our Beyond the Blinds private at least. So we try, and if it looks like a burner account, we won't accept it.
We say that we don't like to fly too close to the sun.
I gotta know, how many times during an episode do you guys use the word allegedly? Or let's go bigger. During the length of your actual podcast being out there, how many times have you said the word allegedly through the years?
I don't even know. We try to say it at the top of the show, but I know throughout the show we continue to say it.
Yeah, but Kelly always gives one good, one from her gut, allegedly, at the beginning, like the good one, you know what I mean? And then we kind of sprinkle it throughout, but like she'll do one good one at the beginning that counts.
But then we'll read like a really bad blind, and I'll be like, and that, just so you guys know, that's alleged. We don't know.
The lawyer that's on retainer is in the background saying, allegedly.
So your guys' podcast has already gone to the #1 in the entertainment news category. It's been a huge success. What podcasts are you guys listening to that you think our viewers would like to check out? Troy, you go first.
I listen to a lot of pop culture podcasts. So we have a mutual friend, Dara, that has a podcast called Like, Do You Remember This? And she kind of like passively covers a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Like, she just did a really good deep dive on Playboy, and she re-watched Girls Next Door and watched the documentary and like read the books and did the thing. Like, it was very good. So Dara is a really good one. I can think of more, but Kelly, you go.
I definitely say Fluently Forward. Our friend Shannon, she has a blind item podcast that's really good too. I listen to like Danny Pellegrino. I really like him. Chicks in the Office, and every once in a while I'll listen to like My Favorite Murder or something, but I've kind of fallen off of them, but I still love them.
That's awesome. Well, all good recommendations, because you know me, I love the entertainment news. I love just all of it, and their podcast is definitely entertaining. So I would highly suggest people checking out Beyond the Blinds if you're into celebrity news. Kelly, Troy, thank you guys so much for stopping by. It's been fun having you. Head on over to podsauce.com if you guys want a link directly to their podcast. It's awesome. So this is Podsauce.